Hey guys, welcome to Hustlers Hangout, and today is our episode number 5, if I'm correct. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Episode number 5, and today we're going to be talking about how to start your software business online. And that is a pretty interesting topic because this is something, again, software business is something that everyone wants to get involved. And one of the main reasons why, because it will create your residual income, or a lot of people are looking for passive income. So that's what exactly we're going to talk about. So guys, let's just kick in. So what would be the first step? What are your thoughts about today's topic, Miraj and Jaasir?
Shall I go? Okay. Yeah, I'll go. So software is always exciting. I think, we live in a world now where everything's just constantly advancing. Like there's new products coming out every day. There's new technologies coming out every day. And I think people are just generally more aware of sort of not just automating, but amalgamating software or technology into their traditional businesses. Yeah. So, I come from having a recruitment company, which is it's a software company really, because it's got a online platform where like people register. In terms of software, I think for me, the first point that you need to start with really is to do a little bit of research and find out, and the most integral thing to find out is what I want to do, i.e. what I want my software to do, is it already available? So is there another system that's already available? Is that system lacking in any way? Am I able to improve that in any way? Or does it already have everything that I want? And is there a possibility for me to incorporate that system through whatever business model we choose, which we can discuss later? Or am I looking to build something which is custom, that I want to basically build myself? In order to, obviously, because intellectual property is a big thing, right? When you have your own software, it's your own intellectual property. But it's not necessarily the smartest move for a business, because there's that age-old saying, innit? Why try to reinvent the wheel, right? When there's something there already. So I think research is definitely the first place to start, and I'm hoping by that point you would have figured out what your niche is, like what area you want to work in. Because if you don't know that, then that's got to be the first point you want to start. You can't just say, I want to create some sort of technology and I don't know what it's for or what it's about. For me, it was very easy. I wanted to create technology which helped in healthcare recruitment, which automated the whole kind of agency process by having this online presence and an app presence rather than the traditional kind of cold calling, texting, emailing, all the way that traditional agencies run. If I didn't know what my niche was, or I didn't know which area to go into, then I probably would have had to start there, like figure out what area I want to go into first. So that's probably, I think for me, that's probably the best place to start. What about you, Jess?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, for me, because I personally, we advise a lot of software development companies through business development or through branding. And like with any project that comes to us, the key foundation is the target audience. If you are creating a software, what problem are you solving and who is it for? Once you've identified that, then you kind of understand, okay, if there's any feedback loops, if there's any information or you need, is there any testing, you know the people to ask, right? That's the key fundamental part of anything, especially with software, because if you haven't identified who's going to use it, you don't have a product. You're building it for the sake of just building it. Unless it's a passion project or something which you're just doing, even for an education piece, just to learn something yourself, fair enough. But if you're actually building a software project to actually sell something and turn it into a business, you've got to really make sure you know your target audience. A lot of times people are like, yeah, no, I'm building this and this is going to help maybe company X solve all of this. Company X might not even want it or might not have the budget to afford it. And a lot of times people think it's a good idea until they go and speak to them, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is a great idea, we love the project, but it's out of our budget. And so a lot of the times, because that research of the questions haven't been asked, it doesn't go anywhere, and sometimes it's a bit too late because people have already invested a lot of money in. So as you rightly said, Miraj, that initial research of what problem are you fixing, does it exist already, can you improve it, all those are excellent questions to kind of make sure that you are heading in the right direction. And you might find something which you think is a great idea, and if it doesn't exist, sometimes it might be very opportunistic and you might be the first to do it, but other times there might be a reason why. Maybe the industry isn't quite ready for that change.
That's a big thing.
So you've got to basically make sure you've spoken to the people and you've kind of got people already interested, and maybe you already even reserved a spot before 100% diving in, because it's a big risk and a big investment, because softwares aren't cheap. I think a lot of people really underestimate the pricing for certain softwares. Like, people sometimes think, oh, I'll make an app for like £100, right? I've had people like that, like, oh, maximum app and website interface will cost like £1,000, and then you show them the bill for like 50 to 80 grand. They're like, they just lose it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm thinking, this is too much, but it's a reality, and I think people really need to understand that before you dive in, you need to make sure you have someone that's going to pick it up.
Okay.
But,
you guys pretty much covered everything. You guys left me with nothing. I don't know what to say. But go ahead.
I think might be a good question part from your side then is experience, and maybe some examples of good things and bad things that you've seen and mistakes people have made. Might be
100%. I'm going to give you step by step, because we personally, Miraj and Jaasir, last night we were talking about that I've got a white label software outright for chatbot, conversation bot for the websites and for mobile apps, but we've never used it. Well, we did use it for our clients, but we didn't really specifically sell that as a service. This is something we're looking into it together, actually, to do, three of us, So this is something I'm going to show you step by step what we did, the process, what we went through in order to get involved into a conversation bot. And believe it or not, that still is in the trend, and we got involved back in 2018, So the very first thing, I'll give you the straightest steps what we followed in order to see, look, this is good investment, let's get involved. And I'm also going to give you a couple of hints and tips of what people make mistakes when they get involved into software business. Number one, again, you guys both covered it. You need to do your research, right? Who is it for? Number one is trend is your friend. And in the digital space, whatever trend is going, you just simply got to follow it. Make that trend your bestest friend ever, And the best places to look for trends and the software that is trending, and most of them are automation and marketing software. That would be I'm linked to, Like, obviously, whatever industry you guys into, I'm going to give you example based on what we do. So I would go to Product Hunt. Product Hunt actually covers all sort of softwares, not just marketing software. So you go to Product Hunt, Softpedia, Launch and Next. These are the websites you go to. And once you go to these websites, you basically look at what these softwares out there and look at their reviews, look at their ratings. But not only that, a lot of them are offering their beta versions. Like, you don't even have to pay for these softwares. Simply just get registered and use it and try it and see how you feel about these softwares. Are they usable? How's your audience would react to these softwares? Would this software solve their problem? And whatever software you're using, based on that, conduct a survey based on your audience, Run a survey and find out of what exactly happened. Once you find out, then again, you don't have to develop a software. Like, you could simply piggyback on the other person's, obviously, all the hard work, and all sort of donkey work. What you can do, simply reach out to these software companies and ask them, look, I want to get involved, I want to invest into your software, but I want to get white label rights. Okay, that's what we done. So we reached out to the company. It only cost us a few grand, nothing major. And we got a lifetime unlimited chatbots, unlimited conversations, and we could sell it to as many companies we want to for as much money we want to make. There's no restrictions to it. The one thing what I would suggest, that thank God we didn't make mistake what a lot of people do, they don't get the back end code when they invest, and any updates happen that the company can get back to you and charge you more. And not only that, if you want to upgrade your own software, because again, trend is constantly changing, you have to move along with the trend. What if you invest into the software today, 3 to 4 months later, that technology is pretty common, everyone is using it. So you need to keep updating your softwares, keep introducing the new features in order to keep your audience happy and interactive with your piece of software. That would be my advice. You need to spend a good bit of time, like you spend at least 3 to 6 months time before you think of investing any penny. Use it for yourself, get other beta testers to come on board and use these softwares. We actually, in the description, I think it's better for us to write down all these websites as well, that where they can go and actually search for these softwares, and so our audience would have a good idea actually.
Well, in regards to the beta testing then, do you guys have any examples of where people can go to get some market research done for their projects? I know you gave an example of Product Hunt, but is there any more?
Product Hunt, launching next. We have got Softpedia is another good one, all the new softwares. Capterra is another one, all the new market pizza softwares there. Feed My App is another one. All these websites, you could go find out what are the latest softwares, their reviews, their ratings, their usability, their documentation, and more importantly, you could register. We could register to use these softwares and use it for your personal use and find out if it's a good fit for your audience.
That's excellent. So that's like the top 5. We can probably write down the top 5 best apps for market research or something, and we can have that within the description. So I think that would be really useful for all of our listeners. In addition to that then, because that's quite helpful in regards to if anyone wants to white label any existing softwares. I know, Murad, you could probably answer this better, but in terms of building out your own custom software, what's the process like for that? How are you able to get a feel of the market and the market research and the key features that you require? And how is that process?
So I think I can only really draw on my own experience, and I understood where the problem was. Once you understand where the problem is, then you can assign this like technological aspect to solving this problem. That's like the easiest way I can explain it, right? If I want to do A to B and there's a problem between A and B, how will my technology or the features within my technology help that transition to work, to be smoother? So yeah, I think another thing as well is, like you said, cost is one thing with custom builds. Custom builds are more hands-on. Yeah, you have to do a lot of work. You have to be involved in the speccing. You have to be involved in the design. You have to be involved in how you want it to run, like what features you want, what you don't want, how you want this thing to work. Because it's not as simple as me saying, I want this thing to do this. Because there's like 10 different ways that this thing can do this, right? And how do you want this thing to do this? Or in fact, what's the best way for the user to achieve the outcome, right? So custom build is a lot more hands-on. It takes a lot more patience, a lot more time, because you're more involved. And if you were like me, I didn't have any experience in software. I didn't have any experience in how technology worked. So at the same time as I'm trying to work with the developers to create what I wanted to create, I'm also trying to understand not just how that piece of software works, but how software in general, like the industry works, right? So, but pros are you're left with something which you can call your own, like it's your own like IP, right? Data I guess is not as big a problem now, because you can still get data from off the shelf white label solutions, but your data is kind of more centralized or more consolidated because it's under your control, I guess, right? I would only recommend a custom build in a situation where there is either very few platforms that are trying to do what you were doing, i.e. they're not doing them very well, or there is no platforms doing what you're doing. I would not recommend a custom build, and this is just me speaking personally, I would not recommend a custom build in an industry where you're trying to do something where another platform already exists that's doing a pretty damn good job. Yeah. Now, funny saying that, right? We have a custom build of our own platform. A few years ago, and I never told you guys this actually, but a few years ago, because our platform was doing so well in what it was doing, like temporary workers, a lot of the big clients, the big pharmacies that we were looking after, like the Lloyds and the Well Pharmacy, they had their own scheduling softwares, right? And they wanted to create something which not only scheduled their own staff, but also worked with the agency platforms as like an all-in-one solution, yeah? So Well Pharmacy put out a tender, right? And effectively I had the first time I've ever done a bid, ever in my life, yeah? So I bid for this tender, this RFP, doing all these documents to try and apply and show them why my locum choice, my company software was so good, and it was built in a modular way that it already had like 30-40% of the functionality they needed, so we could build the rest for them with our developers and they could effectively license it off us, right? Long and short of it was we didn't make it. I think we got to the last 3. Yeah, we didn't make it. They went and picked an off-label solution, an off-the-shelf solution, which was not in healthcare at all. It was, I think they were servicing the likes of McDonald's and all these other people, big company. And they basically got that, and like you've got this box solution and you just take this feature out and put this feature in. You've got to take this out and put this in. They went for that instead because they probably looked at cost effectiveness. They looked at credibility because that company had a long-standing history of obviously doing what it already did, to the point that they completely negated that there was a software that was built by pharmacists for pharmacists in the pharmacy industry that was completely negated over those 2 other points. They obviously knew that there was loads of softwares out there already, right?
Yeah.
So to them, there was no point for them to build their own. And they thought, let's just get an off-label solution that will do a better job than our current one. So, that's, yeah.
A lot of the time it does sometimes come down to cost and reputation. There's a lot of ways why that happens, because this also comes under risk aversion as well. Sometimes it's less riskier. It was interesting as well because just catching your earlier point in terms of the UI UX for how you kind of mapped everything out because you saw the issue. Because a lot of the times in terms of custom builds, we kind of get involved with a lot of them because we do a lot of the UI UX for companies. A lot of the time though, with a lot of these software development companies, we also kind of help them with their investment rounds, because what happens is some of these projects are so big, like your development cost can be up to like 100 grand.
Yeah,
easily.
Actually, just before you carry on,
but the startup cost to get it
before you carry on, Jas, sorry.
Yeah.
That brings me on to the right point, yeah? The only reason I was able to afford the custom build of my site was because I'd gone for an investment round, right? My system, I did 2 systems. Like, I had pharmacy online app, optical online app, right? Mm-hmm. That whole thing cost me 80 grand, right? For all of those, cost me 80 grand.
Yeah.
If I hadn't have gone for an investment round, I wouldn't have been able to afford that, and I probably would have opted for an off-label solution. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense because it does cost that much money usually.
That would be an amazing topic to talk about, that how to raise funds for your idea,
If the viewers like it and they subscribe to us, then sure.
Yeah, you don't get anything if you don't subscribe. It's just half an hour of us just sitting looking at the camera like this.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, you're 100% right, because it's a really tricky thing. Whereas a lot of the times people, cause I see it from both sides. I work with the investors, also work with the projects. Projects obviously have great aspirations, they've got great ideas, but investors aren't always all about the ideas. They want to make sure that the team puts work in. So a lot of the time you need like at least a couple of grand to build out. And what we usually do is we build out the UI UX framework or like a wire model or wireframe. So then there's something to show investors that here's your investment deck, here's like a small demo, or here's like a UI UX wireframe of everything or what it's going to look like. So things come to life, and then you can go get investment, or you could do your crowdfunding pitch, whatever it is. But you need to show and demonstrate something, and that you've got some type of skin in the game. So when it comes to developing your own software business, that's a big element of it, is how do you prepare for that? And I think investment's a big stage on it, because a lot of the time when you do have a software company, you want to either license it, franchise it out, or just sell the whole company if it makes enough money, right? So, but yeah, I think, Ozzy, is there anything else to add?
I think
Mirage?
let's just go back step by step what exactly we need to do in order to do that. Miraj, if you want to go step by step, and we can wrap up this episode.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of starting your own software business, yeah. So, first step is market research. Yeah. So, first of all, and when I say market research in terms of the software, the first point, of course, should actually be market research. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do, right? Second is market research in terms of, is there a problem to be solved? Because if there isn't, there's no point doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Third is
sometimes
true. Sometimes true.
Yeah.
Crypto, like I've worked with some crypto projects, and there's no need for it. But
It's a trend. Again, it's a trend, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
It's a trend.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
Trend is your friend.
Are you solving an issue, or is there a
trend is
trend?
your friend.
There we go. We solved that one.
Yeah. Then looking at
I want that shirt.
trend is your friend. That's a good. It's a good slogan, actually. Yeah. Then it's about looking at what softwares are out there, if any, that are trying to do what you're doing, and from there you're then able to make a determination as to whether you want to build something of your own, or you want to use something which is readily available that you can then tailor to how you want, right? And then it's really about the means of actually being able to build it. If you have the capacity, the financial capital to do whichever option you choose for, then it's pretty easy. If you don't, then you need to look at ways to raise funds, or what I did was we ran ads manually for a few years before we had an MVP platform, which was a lot cheaper, which allowed us to create brand awareness, allowed us to get our name out there, to then be able to level up and go for investment. So if that's an option for you, then you can take it, because it's a much easier sell when you've got clients and you've got people. If you don't have that, you're effectively just selling an idea, and investors don't invest in ideas. They need to see something, right? They need some sort of track record. It's very, very difficult to get a loan or investment without having something there, which is something we can talk about properly on another video. And then once, I think people forget as well, once you've created a piece of software, it's not just done, like, it's an ongoing thing. You're not beyond the support and maintenance, like retainers and stuff, like bug fixes and all that. I'm talking about constantly innovating, constantly developing it, because the minute that you launch something, and I kid you not, there's about 10 people that are watching you that you don't know are watching you, right? And they're going to launch something as well, yeah? And they're going to pretty much, the first thing they're going to do, because they don't know any better, 9 times out of 10, is they're just going to copy exactly what you've done, yeah? But then what happens over time, right, is this magical thing called luck, yeah? Where they luckily get more attention than you for some reason or another, yeah? Because they get more attention than you, they then start to have doors open up for them where they can add new features, right? So you should always, where possible, be ahead of your competition, always, right? With whatever you're doing.
Don't be Nokia.
Exactly. Don't be Nokia. You should be innovating all the time. That all these other guys are just constantly trying to play keep up. Like, that's all they're doing, yeah? And then that's it, really. I mean, I don't really, in terms of, that's software. In terms of building a business, like a business out of it, there's a lot of different elements that come into play. One is, obviously, your software is a asset. You got to treat it as an asset to your company, right? It is going to speak 1,000 words, but it doesn't just mean that once you've got an online business that your business is just going to grow. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I don't know any business that automatically just generates sales from having an online piece of kit. You know, you've got to be able to market that piece of kit. Yeah, you've got it. It's a blend of online and offline activity, right? Cold calling. Just because you've got an online piece of kit doesn't mean that you don't need to cold call. You 100% need to cold call, right? You 100% need to go out and get clients, because clients are not magically going to find your product. They're going to want to know what your product is and for you to bring it to them, to their labs, right?
Exactly.
And that's how you grow a business, like a software business. In my
that's where you guys will need me and Jas to market your product. There you
100%.
go.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, because I mean, look, you guys we've all got software businesses, right? All of us, yeah, like some sort of software business, right? Digital business, like we've either got a software that
I personally don't have a software business. I help with software businesses.
So we either have a software of our own, or we help other people who have softwares. Now, can you categorically say out of any of those people that the minute they went online, their business, that was it, they were done?
Nah.
There's so many cool softwares that I honestly have to search for. Like, give the example today, like finding NVIDIA Broadcast. We're not sponsored by NVIDIA, by the way. But if you want some good noise cancellation, download their software. It's free. Right? But like there's hidden gems all over the place. But if they don't market, you're never gonna find them. That's the issue.
Correct.
So this is part of life and part of the business cycle.
I really enjoyed today's episode, guys. So we should wrap up.
Yeah.
There you go, Jas. You can wrap up today.
Alright, guys. If you enjoy the content and you enjoy the video and you want to support us, please don't forget, please subscribe, like, and comment on the video. If you've got any questions, feel free. We will try getting back to you as soon as we can, and we might shout you out in the next video. You never know. But that's it all from us today. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell.
Can I just add one more thing? We will leave our actually social media platforms links as well below this video description. So feel free to actually
and then
follow us on the social media channels, as well as our clubhouse room as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. If you guys want to talk to us directly as well, we're always good. We do clubhouse meetups as well. So please do join us on there. But have an amazing one, guys, and take care and see you next time.
Bye bye.
See ya.